Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me for another very special interview. When you find yourself needing help from any form of addiction, who do you go to? Well, today my guest is Ayleen Lapper. She is a recovery advocate, a motivational speaker, and she also has a workshop. So we will hear from her about all of these things that she can do to help you. And I want to welcome Ayleen. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
I am particularly interested in someone, if I'm listening to them, I want them to have that lived experience. Okay, I'm going to someone, even as me as a psychic, I've had that lived experience. So I can tell people, for instance, what it's like to die because I've had a near-death experience. People will believe that because you're coming from that lived personal experience. So when you are a recovery specialist, I'm assuming this is from lived experience, and you've taken that and turned it into a way to help other people with their recovery. So basically, how did you get this way in your life? And what was the turning point that said, okay, enough is enough? And you started to, dig yourself out of that hole that we sometimes put ourselves in.
Well, this is years of addiction that I'm coming from. It didn't start like that. Nobody starts their journey, when they're drinking in their teens, which is what it was for me, thinking that I will end up in a place that I actually got to. So it was lots of fun and joy and partying in my teens. But the thing with alcohol, and it affects some of us more than others, where they have a turning point, is when it changes for them and they lose control. So it's no longer something they do for fun, it becomes a way of life. And that was what happened to me. It was a very slow burn for me. I mean, my addiction lasted 27 years, and it just got darker and darker. And as the time went on, I lost things along the way, which was material in the beginning. I was very successful from a young age. I bought my first property at 23. I traveled around the world. I was modeling. I had my own business. Everything was wonderful. I had my first child at 25. I went back to work. I was successful. I was a licensee. I had nightclubs. It was very, it was a great life, but I could manage with my child as well. And then at 30, I had another three children very quickly. But my partner, we're not together anymore. It was very strange. And I did a lot of that on my own. He was always in another country. So I was doing this motherhood journey on my own. And what had happened was the fun had gone out of the drinking, and I now was drinking at home with the children. And I never saw that coming. And my children are my life, but the drinking started to take over. And it just got very dark, and I became a different person. So the fun loving party go had gone, and then it became very dark for me. Lots of intrusive thoughts, very negative, very self-loathing, not to my children, but the anger started to build up. And then I started to act out, let's say, and I got myself in trouble. I would never have done the things, as in, you know, get into arguments and fighting was something, I'm ashamed to say that, but that is where it took me. I became so angry because I could see my life spiraling out of control in one sense, but in the other sense, it all seemed so normal. and this was the conflict, and it was very rare that I was drawing a sober breath. And then, unfortunately, in 2014, the year I turned 40, and that year, everything was taken on, was swept up under my feet. And I think, that is something that really helped me now looking back, and everything in hindsight I can see happened for a reason. I truly believe that. But I had my 40th birthday, then I lost my home and then was taken into temporary accommodation with my children. Then things started to spiral out of control again. And then in the June of 2014, my children were taken out of my care. So my four children were taken out of my care. And then my ex-partner was told to come. He came back, thank goodness. I appreciate him from that. Came back from another country and took care of my children. And then in that space from the June till I got sober, in the October, that was my darkest. I don't remember very much at all. I was in and out of blackouts. I turned very, vicious. I fell out with people. My friends didn't want to know. It became a very, very dark place. And the actual turning point came. I was in this temporary accommodation, and it was like a fetal position. And I just, like I said, I felt intrusive thoughts, and I was wishing to die on a frequent basis. And then I can't explain it, but something happened, and I just said, this is not how my story ends. This is not it. I mean, I lost my parents at a very young age. My mum died when I was one, and she knew that she would, if she carried on with the pregnancy, that she could lose her life. And she chose to have me. And she just said, I want to live to my first birthday, and she made it till 2 weeks after. And then my dad, unfortunately, couldn't cope with six children and left when I was five. So we all grew up very quickly, and I just, in that moment of that surrender, as I call it, I just thought, this is not how my story ends. My mum gave up her life for me. This is not it. I cannot leave my children, because I know what it's like not to have parents. And something happened in that moment, Cassandra. I don't know what happened, but I do believe a chink was in my armor and something came in. That's the best way. And I had a feeling of hope, is all I can not at that immediate moment, but something changed overnight, and I began to engage with the services, because at that point I didn't really want to engage in services. I just thought I'd lost all hope, and I managed to get into a drug and alcohol program, uh, and they gave me a chip for a 24-hour chip for a new way of life. And I thought, I don't know where it came from. I thought I need one of those. Like, my whole life had shot to pieces, my home, my children, I was in trouble with the police, I'd got myself convictions. This is not my life. I've been successful before now, and it just unraveled. And then I had a moment of clarity, and I just thought, I've got a chance to change. I don't know where this came from. I do believe it was a higher, something has been looking after me, and something changed. And I began to think that I don't know, that if I just take a step at a time, I had no idea. Something happened, and I engaged, and it was a very slow process of rebuilding and finding out who I am and changing into the person I am today. But it didn't happen overnight. Uh, but that was the catalyst of events that happened to lead me to this path today. And I'm now happy to say, 11 years in recovery, my life is building up. I have my children at home, I have a home, but it took to that rock bottom. But I believe that that had to happen to make me who I am today, and to do the work that I do today.
And I know that a lot of people listening maybe right now they're at their rock bottom. And this is just, what the heck? I'm just going to see what this lady has to say. And they can relate, to what it is that you've gone through and know that feeling. And look at what happened. You came out of it.
Hmm.
And that means that anyone can come out of it. You just need that one little, like you said, the chink in your armor that lets some light through.
Hmm.
Because when we are in addiction, we do put this thing around us that's no, there's no problem. No, I can handle it. No, I never let this affect my work or my life or my children. And we don't see it until someone points it out to us, or unless, we get in trouble, or, we are just at that rock bottom. So, rock bottoms are life changers. And when we come into the dependency on whatever, that form of addiction is, that's when we look at it and go, no, like you
Hmm.
said, this is not how my life is supposed to be. And that's one thing. If somebody can say that to themselves, this is not how my life is supposed to be, then I feel that that's when you are giving the universe permission to come in and say, okay, let's get it right back on track. Because the free will, we can do anything we want, but we also have consequences.
Hmm.
So if you're tired of the consequences and you want to say, this is not how my life is supposed to be, that's what I want people to get from your testimony right now. That was very powerful. It really was. Do you have more things that you are planning to do right now? I mean, you are an advocate, you're a motivational speaker. And the workshop that you're talking about, is this going to be online? Is it going to be in person? What else are you planning on doing?
So this now I feel I'm called to help people because people were kind to me. I had no hope when I was in addiction, and I was living this Groundhog Day over and over again. Like, am I ever going to get out? And then once I'd made that surrender, asked for help, the universe intervened, people get put in my path. But it's about that one courageous decision to ask for help, to acknowledge somehow that you are in, things are difficult or in trouble, that you can't see a way out. And for me now, I help, when I say a recovery advert, I coach women predominantly through these, rebuilding their lives, giving them tools to turn their life around, to believe in themselves, because that's what it is, that believe that change is possible. So I'm now speaking in recovery centres and on stages, and I've built this workshop, which is a framework, which is called ADAPT, which is awareness, decide, perspective, act, perspective, and time. So it's using this framework to give you tools to come to realize that you can change this and get a perspective and time to act, but also giving yourself time to change. So this is something that will be online. I am actually doing in person at the moment, but it will be something that I will be putting online with webinars and things like that that help, because that's what I feel. People need help or need encouragement, and know that whatever they've gone through. I mean, I had domestic violence, homelessness, traumas. That whatever it is, that they can rebuild their lives.
And you are proof of it. That's for sure. How can people reach you?
So I do have social media channels. I haven't got like a, I have my, on my Instagram, and I have my LinkedIn and my TikTok, but I'm just building a platform now to do live performances or shows. So this is where, but on socials is where I am at the moment.
And they just look up your name?
Yes, it's Ayleen J Inspires.
Okay, okay, that's easy. Thank you so much for sharing. I know that, again, the universe leads us to where we need to be. And if we have an issue and we say, this is not how I want to live my life, then you're going to show up. And that's the first step. Number one, be aware. And,
Mhm.
then you're adapting and you're doing all of the other steps. And like you said, it doesn't happen overnight, but it only happens if you actually put it into motion.
Absolutely. It's all about putting in the work. You can't just wish for it. You have to want
Right.
for it and work for it. And it will happen. And it has to be patience. This is a journey. The whole life is a journey. Recovery is a journey. It's just evolving and believing. The life I have today is you know is incredible. That it's not about the material things, it's about knowing who I am and being happy with who I am, because for so long I couldn't look at my reflection in the mirror. I couldn't look at myself. And now I'm okay with me. I'm more than okay with me. I'm proud of myself, and my children are proud of me because of what I've how it's turned around. And that's what I want to say to anyone. It is possible. You can turn your life around. You're never too far gone to make changes.
And with that, I think that's all that she wrote. That's all you need to know. Please find Ayleen Lapper. It's Ayleen Lapper. Look her up, see what can happen. Here's to your change. I am Cassandra, and I will talk to you next time.